Right, so we are going to talk about letter writing task in this presentation, and this is our lecture number 7, which is task 1 in IELTS general training. Task 1 and lecture number 8 would be about task 2, which is essay writing. So there are only 2 tasks in IELTS writing, so I have made separate videos on this. So today we are going to do lecture number 7. If you haven't watched my lectures 1 to 6, please do watch them, and you will definitely find useful information in them. What is a letter? A letter is a written communication, and it could be these things: friendly, business, request, invitation, apology, and complaint. And we are going to talk about all these letters. Okay. Brief sketch of letter, IELTS letter. You are given a situation and you have to write a letter to address the issue. So for example, these are different types of situations. If you want, you can read that. I just read one. You are asked to write a letter to the CEO, manager of a company, for a job. So this is one type of situation. There are different types of situations if you look at these. So these are the situations that we come across in our lives day to day, on day-to-day basis. In the next slide, I will show you how to structure the letter. This is how your letter should look like when it is complete. The first of all, we have an opening where you write dear sir, or which is also called salutation, or dear madam. We will be discussing about that, how to start your letter in the coming slides. The next one is introductory paragraph. This should be 3 to 4 lines long, or 2 to 3 lines would be okay, but when I get into detail I will explain. This is just a snapshot of your letter. This is the body where you discuss the issues, you present your ideas and thoughts, but split into paragraphs and concluding remarks. So these 3 bits, let me choose the pencil. These 3 make the body of the letter, and this is closing, which is also called subscription. Okay, so that is how your letter should look like. It is better to write a letter on a separate page and finish it on the same page, so its shape is nice and clean. But this is not written on stone. You can start from anywhere as long as your argument is strong, as long as your structure is like that. So what the examiners see is mentioned here. The examiners on IELTS letter writing task see that you can approach a given issue in the right way, to analyze the issue and to convey your ideas and thoughts using suitable language. You know that letter writing is on a specific issue. For example, you stayed in a room, the room service was bad, you are writing a letter to the manager to complain. Now, you can't talk about everything in the world. You need to be very specific on that topic, and you need to be to the point. Okay, that is what the examiners see, how nicely you address the issue under discussion. Right. What is the assessment criteria? You are assessed on the content, the way you present your ideas and arguments, and the quality of your communication. Your quality of communication obviously comes with the quality of language and the technical aspect, correct use of grammar, rich vocabulary, and varied sentences. Correct use of grammar is on the next slide. I will show you how to do that and what are the issues. Rich vocabulary comes with extensive reading, and varied sentences comes with extensive reading as well. Varied sentences means that you should write simple sentences, complex sentences, compound complex sentences, long short sentences, one word sentence. I mean, one word is not a sentence, but sometimes you do just write one word to create an effect. So and also your sentence openers, starters, should vary. You shouldn't start every sentence the same way. For example, according to a research, according to my friends, according is too much. You should always start your sentences in different ways. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Here you see that we have something in red. So that red means that you have to be very careful about that, because red is the sign of danger. At the same time, it is the sign of love and sign of life, but at the same time it is the sign of danger. So these are the things that you have to be very careful. I talked about grammatical accuracy. Now this is how wrong grammar can destroy or distort your ideas and thoughts. So for example, if you write please ensure it is locked, spelling mistake, underlined word ensure is the wrong word. I mean, both of them have same pronunciation, and it's confusing spellings as well. So this is the right option to use here. Insure means when you insure a car or insure house insurance policy and stuff like that. Ensure means when you make sure that something is done. The next one is he said he will go. Correct option is he would go. Let me explain it. Okay, this is the first part of your sentence and this is the second part of your sentence. The first one is in past, the second one is in present. You remember one simple rule: past and present cannot mix in one sentence. If the sentence begins in past, it ends in past. Okay, so it should be unless there is a quote, unless there is a speech. Okay, so the correct option would be would. I have written him a letter in the morning. Now most people won't be able to judge or to find out the problem here. The problem is no time specification in present perfect tense. So I have written him. I have written is a present perfect tense. With that, you don't mention time. There's no time specification in present perfect. You can either say I have written him a letter, which means you have done it, okay, or you could say I wrote him a letter in the morning. So time does not come with present perfect. You always remember that. Okay, next one is what is the letter itself? You must be familiar with three kinds of letters. For example, formal letter, semi-formal letter, and informal letter. Okay, excuse me. I will be talking about these types of letters in detail on the next. The format for all these letters is the same, but opening and closing of all three letters differ. The use of language and level of formality also differ in all three cases. Okay, so we will be talking about formal, semi-formal, and informal letters one by one and see what they actually are. So let us start with formal letters. Formal letters are written to insurance companies, banks, airlines. And what do you have to remember? These letters are written to people you do not know. They are purely written from business purposes. So these are business letters, formal letters. So when you don't know somebody, you use different type of language with them. When you use different type of language, means formal language, you use different types of openings and different types of closings. So this is what we are going to learn on the formal letter. Okay, let us first of all talk about formal and informal letter. So for example, you speak to your friend in a very free and frank way. Okay, sometimes you swear, which is not good obviously, but sometimes you do that. Sometimes you use slang, sometimes you use bad language. You talk to your friends in a way, hey man, come on, let's go. All right, but you don't talk to your teachers like that. You don't talk to your teacher. You don't say to your teacher, hey man, forget about that, I don't do homework. Okay, so you don't use this type of language. You use a different type of language with your teachers. That is formal language. And you use a different type of language with your friends. That is informal language. Okay, right. So the opening of a formal letter should be like that. In English, every letter starts with the word dear. Open these letters. Dear sir, if the addressee is a man. Dear madam, if your addressee is a woman. Now you would be wondering why I'm explaining these things, which is so simple. They have something in that, and later on we will be talking about something which will tell you, which will explain to you why I'm using that, because dear sir or dear madam determines the end of the letter as well. Okay, and sometimes we don't know the lady or the person who we are talking to, the female, is married or not married. Okay, so that's why in most cases you do not know the gender of your addressee. So the best way is to write dear sir or madam. If you don't know, for example, you're writing an airline a complaint, so you don't know who is reading your letter, who will be reading, so you don't say dear sir, because the madams or the ladies or the females will be excluded. You don't say dear madam because the men will be excluded, so you use both of them. How to open the body of formal letters. The first paragraph tells the reason why you are writing this letter, so you should start something like that. I am writing in connection with you. Remember one thing, in formal letters you don't ask them how are you, I hope you are fine. This is not for them. You just jump straight into the point, I mean into the discussion. I am writing this letter in connection with my stay at your hotel, or I'm writing to inform you that the service I got at your hotel was extremely unacceptable, something like that. I'm writing to request more information. Okay, 2 to 3 sentences are enough for the first paragraph, because you are just telling them what you are writing and why you are writing. So concluding remarks would be, I am looking forward to hearing from you at the earliest. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. I hope to hear from you soon. These are the concluding, these are the pet endings. Okay, these are formula endings, so you should remember them, you should know them, you should memorize them, because this is the way to save time. You know what to write in the beginning, you know what to write in the end. The middle part is where you need to spend more time. Okay, formal letter closing. For all openings in formal letters, we have one closing: yours faithfully, highly formal. This is very, very formal. If you start your letter with dear sir or dear madam or dear sir and madam, your letter ends at yours faithfully. And remember one thing, this yours shouldn't be written with an apostrophe, because it's a possessive pronoun and possessives don't take an apostrophe. Okay, a sample letter. Formal type. So I have given you a question here. What you do is you stop it and read it carefully. I will read it to you as well, and on the next slide I have given you a sample answer or response to that letter. Obviously I will not be reading that, but that is for you. When you stop the video, read that and try to understand how a perfect letter should be written. The task is, you currently stayed in a hotel in a large city. The weather was very unusual for the time of the year, and heating or cooling system in the hotel was quite inadequate. Okay, so you were not happy with the heating or the cooling system. Write a letter to the manager of the hotel, and in your letter give details of what went wrong, explain what you need to do to overcome the problem at the time, and say what action you would like the manager to take. Okay, as I said earlier in one of my lectures, that these 3 dots, I tell you one thing, very simple technique. These are the best plans for the best plan for your letter. If you follow that plan, step 1, step 2, step 3. Now you can write 1 or 2 points here, you can write probably 1 point here, and you can write probably 1 or 2 points here. So that makes your letter. I mean, you have nice clean 4 paragraphs. 3 to 4 paragraphs here if you address them. So this is the plan, this is the roadmap for you. Here you could see that this is the letter. It starts with dear sir and madam, and it ends in your faithfully and then your name. Okay, so I will not read this letter. You can stop the video and read it, take notes, annotate this, see what is included, what is not, how the letter begins, how the letter ends, and then try to find a topic and write a letter like that. All right, we move. Now we are talking about semi-formal letters. These letters are written to people you know, for example, your landlords, employer, boss, librarian, or school council. Okay, so when you come to the UK or an English-speaking country, you will be constantly in touch with these type of people. So that's why I mean, this is a day-to-day routine, or on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. So that's why these letters, these types of letters are used in IELTS. Remember that you know these people, but you are not friends with them, so the level of formality is lower than the formal letters. Okay, formal letters you don't know. Formal letters you don't know their names, so you are extremely formal with them. Now these people you know. Okay, your landlord you know, your employer, your boss, or your librarian you know, but you are not friends with them. So it is semi-formal. Your language is not extremely formal, but not informal as well. Semi-formal formal openings. Okay, one. A means that this is the first part, and then you're writing to a letter to Julian Blair. There is only one correct option to open. So Julian Blair could be your landlord, he could be your librarian. Okay, dear Mr. Blair. Okay, you see that in formal letters we said dear sir. Here we know the name because we know our landlord, so we have to write dear Mr. Blair. Here are some other options which are wrong. Now be careful about that. Julian Blair, two names. You write dear Mr. and Blair. Now some people don't use a dot after Mr. That is perfectly fine, but you have to use a comma after that. Okay, here are some other options which are wrong. Dear Julian, so you see the first name. Dear Julian Blair, the full name. Dear J Blair, first name, initial, and then dear JB or dear Mr. Julian Blair. Why they are wrong, let us see. Remember a simple rule: you cannot use first name with Mr. or with any other title. For example, that title could be Miss, Doctor, or Mr. or Mrs. You cannot. Mr. can only be used with the surname or the family name or the last name. So simple formula: if you know the name, you use Mr. and then you use the last name, nothing else. Semi-formal letters opening. If you are writing to a woman named Iris Spencer, you have a different situation here. Here are these possibilities: dear Miss Spencer and dear Mrs. Spencer. Okay, so see that in one case I have used a full stop, in the second case I haven't, which means that both of them are okay. You can use both of them. So when you write dear Miss Spencer, you know that she is unmarried. Okay, but when you write dear Mrs. Spencer, you know that she is married. But what if you do not know her marital status? Then what do you write? You cannot say Miss Spencer to somebody who's married. Okay, and you cannot say Mrs. Spencer to somebody who's not married. So if you are not sure the solution, so if you do not know a woman's marital status, then you have only one option: dear Miss Spencer. I mean, this is pronounced as Ms, but it is only MS, which means that the person could be married, could not be married. So this is the polite way of addressing somebody. Right. Mr. is used for both married and single men, and this title is neutral. Look, men have only one title. Wow, very good. Miss is relatively modern title for ladies and behaves like Mr. It is neutral alternative for Mrs. and Miss. Miss is pronounced as Miss. Okay, very simple formula. How to open the body of the semi-formal letters. The first paragraph, which tells the reason for writing a letter, is a mixture of formality and warmth. I hope you are well. Now you see that because you know these people, you know their names, so first of all you ask after their health and stuff like that. I hope you and your family are well. How are you? All of them are fine. 3 to 4 sentences are enough. So for example, how are you? I hope you and your family are well. I am writing this letter to inform you that I am moving house next week or next month, whatever. Okay, so but you don't use this in formal letters. What are the concluding remarks for semi-formal letters? I mean, the person you know the names. So you write dear Mr. Blair, and then you finish it like that. Thank you so much, and give my regards to your family, or thank you so much in advance. and you finish this like that. In case of semi-formal letters, here again we have one option to choose: yours sincerely. Right, it's a small tip for you, and I'm sure that it will help you. I mean, even not in IELTS, but in other letters, if you write yours faithfully, I mean, nobody is going to hang you or send you to the Tower of London, but there are rules, okay? Um, Use your faithfully when you begin a letter with dear sir, madam, which means that you don't know their names. Use your sincerely when you know the person's name to whom you're writing. So this is a simple tip. So in this case, we know that we are writing to Mr. Blair. Okay, so that's why we use your sincerely. Right, sample letter. So there is an example of a semi-formal letter. This is the task, and on the next page you will have a sample letter. Once again, just like the formal letter, you would look at this, you will stop the video, and then you will read that and make some notes. You are going on a short training course at a college in Sydney, Australia. You need somewhere to live with while you are there. Write a letter to the accommodation officer at the college. In your letter, explain again those 3 points. Okay, that is your plan. Explain your situation, describe the accommodation you require, and say when you will need it. So follow these. This is your plan. This is how you have to write. You could see that: dear Mrs. Spencer, and yours sincerely, and then full name. Okay, so you can read this letter at your leisure. Informal letters. Right. These letters are written to people you are friends with and enjoy a level of informality. For example, friends and family. These are the people that you talk in a free and frank style. So the language used in these letters is informal and chatty. Chatty means the way you talk. I mean, you can use contractions here. You can use chatty language. You can use I'm gonna tell you, but no I'm gonna tell you in formal or semi-formal letters. The way you talk face to face. Avoid using slang and abusive language. However, try not to use slang and abusive language. For example, don't use the word shit, stupid, and all that type of dirty language. Okay. Informal letters. If Julian Blair or Iris Spencer is your friend, you can open the letter like this: dear Julian, dear Iris. Now, Mr. is gone, or Miss is gone, or Ms. is gone. Okay, so straight away, dear, and then first name, Julian, dear Iris. Okay, so this is how you write. Okay, you can also say hi Julian, hey Julian, hey Iris. Dear friend or dear friend Julian is not the correct option, so do not write this. The opening is friendly, warm, and conversational, like the rest of the letter. Thank you so much for your letter. I hope you have been well. Sorry for having been out of touch for such a long time or short while. Okay, so these are the openings. The opening, I mean the conversational style of how to close that. You can write a short paragraph including sentences like, I'm writing for your reply as soon as possible. Please write and let me know what is new with you. Thank you again for your beautiful holiday pictures. So see that you have certain type of frankness with them, a level of formality. Informal letters closing. How do you close them? I mean, what do you write at the ends? The closing in this case would be best wishes, best regards, warm wishes, or sometimes if you are too familiar, you could just say love. Okay, you can do that too. Now here is a sample letter for informal topic, the task, and on the next page you will have a sample letter which you can stop and the video and read it. An English-speaking friend wants to spend a 2-week holiday in your region and has written asking for information and advice. Write a letter to your friend. In your letter, again, these 3 dots, offer to find somewhere to stay, give advice about what to do, and give information about what clothes to bring. Right, so this is the type of letter. This is informal. You could start with hi John, and then straight how are you. Hopefully it was wonderful to hear. So this is your response to this task. So I would suggest you to stop this video and then watch it, read it, make notes, and try to think about it. And then I don't know whether you can download that or not. If you could take a picture of all three sample letters, formal, semi-formal, and informal, you can put them side by side, compare them, what's the difference, and that is the best way to learn. Some mathematics here now. Level of formality. Okay, the taller the bar, the formal the language. This is not a hard and fast rule. This is nowhere in any book you will find. Okay, this is just to explain to you in the form of a picture, because the mind understands better in the form of picture. The language of the mind is pictures, not words. So the formal letter has formal language. The taller the bar, the formal the language. If you're writing a formal letter, your language should be this much formal. And then in semi-formal, it is a little bit less. Okay, I mean, this is semi-formal language, and this one means informal language. So when you're writing to your bank manager or airline manager, then you should use higher level of formal language, and so on, semi-formal and informal, depending on who you're writing to. I hope this is very understandable. I don't have to talk about this for a long time. General guideline on the body of the letter. The body of the letter is the most important part of the letter, where you address the topic and convey your thoughts and arguments. So the middle part of the letter, yeah, where you write write about the problem, your annoyance, and all that stuff. Demonstration of quality in this part can result into excellent marks, and vice versa. If you don't, if you open the letter nicely, if you close the letter nicely, but inside the body there's no matter, then obviously the problem. That is how you have to write a letter. Projectile approach. You need to adopt a projectile approach. You see A, B, and C. We see what. Start from point A with introduction, that is, why are you writing this letter? Then build up the story. Okay, reach the climax at point B, where you talk about the problem, and then head towards the conclusion, which is point C, where you ask them to compensate, or solutions, ask for solutions. So that's how you have. But remember one thing, do not stay for too long at any point during the whole journey from A to C, as you said, saw in the first previous slide, because this will divert you from the topic. Okay, so it should be smooth movement. It should be like that. Oh, I just missed that. I was trying to write something, but I moved to the next slide. Anyhow, your movement should be like that. Okay, because anywhere you stay here, you will start talking about other things, and see that your journey stops, means you are distracted now. So it should be like that. All right, now format of the body. Why? This is the body. What do you do in there? So why are you writing a letter? Body of the letter, arguments, evidence, thoughts, and concluding sentence. That's the body of your letter, not the whole structure of the letter. Points to ponder. The first paragraph is formal, informal, or semi-formal letters, concentrates on the problem that you are going to discuss. So it must be short, to the point, topic focused. For example, you say, I am writing this letter to complain about the service at your hotel that I received last month. You see that? Done. Then get into the story and write. 2 to 3 sentences are sufficient for this. The crux. What is the gist of the whole thing? Which is, after introductory paragraph, you need to address the topic without any further delay. Get down to the business straight away. It must concentrate on the issue with solid arguments. It is how you handle this and determines your mark. When you save those sample letters, you will see that they are done exactly the way I am teaching here. So you can learn from those letters. This is a 20 minutes task. Minimum words requirement is 150 words, but you should not exceed 250 words, because the more you write, the more chances of mistakes, and length can divert you from the topic and focus of the letter. If it is 150 words, then 170 would be okay, but 250 is too much. This is how the instructions say, but I would suggest you to write between 150 and 170 words, or maximum 80, not more than that. Read the question and determine whether it is formal, semi-formal, or informal letter. The letter wouldn't say that this is a semi-formal letter you're writing. Okay, so you have to determine what is the question. From the question, what is the formality level? Topic determines the use of language and level of formality. Determine the purpose of letter. For example, complaint, apology, request. As you can see, the task that I showed you in the previous slides, the questions, that tells you what is the problem and what is the level of formality in that letter, or is it formal or semi-formal. The way you open the letter determines the way you close the letter. So if you open the letter with "Dear Sirs," you close with "Yours faithfully." If you say "Dear Mr. Blair," so you are sincerely. If you say "Dear Julian," then best wishes. So these are three different: formal, semi-formal, informal. Make sure you open the body of the formal and semi-formal letters with formal sentences, and informal letter with a friendly paragraph. So I'm trying to summarize the whole thing. I am actually trying to follow the structure of the letter. All right. So opening, body, and conclusion. So this is the conclusion part. Close accordingly, should be coherent, flow like a stream, and ideas must flow in sequence. No use of slang at all. Avoid contractions. I am, I'll, these are contractions, except for informal letters. Yes, you can use in informal letters, but not in semi-formal or formal. Stay on the topic. And learn standard English expressions to save you time and get good marks. On the next slide, I have got some examples for you which will help you. For example, if you have, if you learn about these things, it will save you time. We need to save time. We need to be thinking less and writing more. How does that happen? We practice beforehand. If you are apologizing, I am sorry about that. If you're complaining, I'm writing to express my dissatisfaction, and so on. If you read this bit, and then if you read how to write about that, then it would be very easy for you. All right, so please stop the video here and then have a look at this. Right. Write grammatically sound language. Do you know where the London Road is? And do you know where is the London Road? So the second one is wrong. The first one is correct. So be careful about that. Okay, so this is a quiz for you. Based on whatever we have done so far in letter writing task, this is a kind of quiz for you. So if you stop this and ask yourself question, try to fill in the blank spaces yourself, and then go back and see whether you have done it correct or no. Then that kind of refreshing. Yeah, all of that 3 pages long. So that will help you to you could say just go over whatever we have done, and this is how you consolidate your learning by doing this quiz. Right, finally, be prepared, because practice makes perfect. This is the last message. I'm sure you have learned quite a lot today. I wish you all the best. If you have questions, you can ask me. Thank you very much, and bye.